Greetings, fellow mortals. This has been a strange year for mergers and streaming content. At least that's been the case for Warner Discovery. While the buyout itself was a surprise, the new strategy that the combined companies did surprised me. Their plan, as far as I could tell, was to set everything on fire. Now, this is a bold strategy. I consider myself a creative type. As such, I'm not the most knowledgeable person in the world when it comes to business. I took a lot of classes when I was in college, but it's not my area of expertise. But in this idiot's humble opinion, I don't think that destroying all of your creative work is a good business strategy. Now, I can see where the CEO and the business management team are coming from. A lot of DC's content was mixed, to say the least. Forgetting the difference in quality among all of the content, the tone was all over the place. They were trying to connect things that didn't fit well together. I can understand wanting to go with some sort of reboot and changing everything. Keeping that in mind, it seems that just destroying the Batgirl movie was a terrible idea. It was content at the very minimum. We'll never know exactly what the quality of the film would be, but I doubt that it would be as bad as the Batwoman show in terms of writing and in terms of backstage drama. So I've always questioned the idea of making that movie a tax write-off. After all, Barbara Gordon is a great and marketable character. They could have made money on the movie even if they just put it onto streaming. You know, it's called merchandise. Can you imagine the amount of Batgirl stuff they could have sold? And it turns out that Warner Discovery has a bit of a giant write-off coming up. The company lost $2.3 billion this year. Yikes. I wonder if they were planning for that big of a tax write-off. I don't know about you, but I think that I could live off of 1% of that amount of money for the rest of my life. It's weird that a corporation that's not really a person can lose that much money, and then we act like everything is just okay. So why did this happen? Well, they have had a terrible year. Most of it is because of their own decisions, but I doubt that having their stars get the worst publicity possible helped. Amber Heard and Ezra Miller didn't make things any easier for them, but their own terrible decisions was the thing that hurt them the most. Canceling movies for no reason, cutting cheap content, gutting their animation department. Those were all awful ideas. In fact, I don't think that they had anything go that well this year. I find myself stumped by everything that they've done. In fact, their best decision was to make The Batman 2. Besides that, I can't really think of anything that they've done that makes sense. You know, besides let Black Adam come out and do its thing. It was a rather basic anti-hero story. Nothing fantastic, nothing terrible. It was a fun time, but I wouldn't call it high art. So, with everything completely on fire with Warner Discovery, there needs to be a plan for the future. What should they do? Well, the first thing that they should do is they should stop throwing their completed works away. Tossing out millions of dollars worth of work for no reason is a terrible idea. Not to say that they should fall into the sunk cost fallacy. One should always be willing to pull out of a wasted venture if you're not going to make anything out of it. But Batgirl was a fully completed movie. Maybe don't plan for a tax write-off when you could lose a lot more money than you ever dreamed. Next, they should probably not be tossing out the animation department, especially the old content from Cartoon Network. People are really fond over the old cartoons. Courage the Cowardly Dog, Dexter's Lab, Codename Kids Next Door, and many, many, many more. Maybe instead of destroying them and making sure that no one can watch those shows ever again, maybe they should highlight them. And, I can't believe that I'm saying this, do reboots or continuations. Not like the Powerpuff Girls reboot or whatever the live-action series was going to be. Instead, by being like the Animaniacs. That was a good continuation. I'm sure that they can bring back the original creators and have continuations, actual storylines. Maybe pull a Samurai Jack. People loved that. Now, this isn't ideal. I would prefer new content, but this is a break glass in case of emergency type of situation. They could do at least one new season for each of these old shows and cash in on the nostalgia. All the while, try to come up with new cartoons. Also, make a Batman cartoon. That's always good in case of an emergency. They could make an entire DC animated universe again, or not. Individual shows would work too. Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Superman, that would all work. They just have to adapt the storylines from the comic books. But I don't think that these companies value animation like they should. Lord knows that Netflix felt some of the pain this year after cutting their animation budget and increasing their prices, which is weird considering how well Arcane did and how well Invincible was received on Amazon Prime. So it doesn't have to just be kids' cartoons. They could bring in full adult animation that isn't just a Family Guy ripoff. Instead, they could adapt something new, or they could reboot like everyone else, or they could just come up with a new idea. Of course, they already have some sort of plan to go back to the Harry Potter well. They want to do more movies in the wizarding world. Just kill me, please. Ugh. It will work, even if I don't like the Fantastic Beasts movies, but maybe they should be making a slice of life type of show about kids in Hogwarts, or make an action movie about a wizard that acts as a mercenary in a different part of the world. It's not ideal and it is desperate, but Warner Brothers Discovery is in desperate times right now. So the key after all of this is to make new series that audiences will love. Bringing back old franchises will only work for so long. They need new content. So while the short term should be focused on bringing back the old, they need to remember to establish new series that people can love. I'd take inspiration from Dune's recent success. God knows that there are hundreds of books to take from. Sci-fi and fantasy are overflowing with stories. I don't understand why Hollywood isn't throwing money to get good adaptation of books so that they can make money off of the movies, TV shows, and merchandise. Now, Harry Potter is a once-in-a-century phenomenon, but they can still make new things in series that will be popular. All that the studios have to do is be faithful to the lore. Recently, I've gotten into Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive series. There's so much content in that. Or there is the recently finished Scholomance trilogy from Naomi Novik. Also, I enjoyed S.A. Chakraborty's Devabad trilogy this year, and there are so many stories that I haven't touched yet. Just imagine what they could do if they put in some money, time, and effort into some adaptations. There's even things like Dungeon and Dragon campaigns. I mean, come on. Some of the people that make up worlds for fun come up with some of the most creative campaigns and concepts that I've ever heard of. Studios could just draw ideas from those. I don't know. It's weird. There's so much good content and ideas out there waiting to be made, and Warner Brothers Discovery instead wants to burn money and then focus on Harry Potter. There's an easy way out of this hole for them, but I don't see them pulling themselves out of this disaster. There will be another buyout soon enough, and eventually we'll only have 2 or 3 companies available to make new art and entertainment. No real competition. I'm sure that will end up well for all of us. So I do hope that Warner Discovery pulls off a miracle. Not that it would be hard, they would just have to be smart about it. And maybe that's too much to ask for in this day and age. But what do you think? Am I completely off base here? What do you think that they should bring back during this time of emergency? What should they adapt to get attention? I really want to hear your perspectives on this. And thank you so much for watching. If you like my takes on storytelling, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It would really help me out. Also, please remember that I'll be self-publishing my novel, Dance of Frozen Death, at the start of 2023. I hope that you will check it out. I appreciate you. Do not despair.